Okay, so in problem number 61, again, we are still find the limit if it exists in the instructions. So, in problem number 61, we have the limit as delta x goes to 0 of 2 times the quantity of x plus delta x minus 2x divided by delta x. So, one thing that we can do first is just distribute, right? In the numerator, so we get 2x plus 2 delta x minus 2x. So our positive 2x and our negative 2x additively cancel, and we're left with only 2 delta x in the numerator and a delta x in the denominator. So we have one factor of delta x shared between the numerator and the denominator, leaving factors of 1 once they cancel. So I'm just taking the limit as delta x goes to 0 of 2, which is just 2. I thought that maybe I might show you another example which has a little bit more manipulations, and that is number 63, which was not requested, but I thought it looked interesting. So we have here the quantity of x plus delta x squared minus 2 times x plus delta x plus 1 minus x squared minus 2x plus 1. Notice that this quantity here is the same as this quantity here, but instead of all x's, we have x plus delta x. This is a foreboding image of things to come. There is a geometric interpretation of this quantity that we will cover in Chapter 2. But for right now, it is important to know how to do some of these manipulations mechanically, right, without having the extended meaning behind it. But, so, be that as it may, let's actually do it. So we have x plus delta x squared. That becomes x squared plus 2 times x times delta x. Notice that these are two different quantities, right? I usually don't write delta x times x because it can get confusing, right? I have a delta x here and an x here. If I were to multiply them together, you might be confused as whether or not that is delta x squared or not. So that's usually why I write the delta x, or excuse me, the x before a delta x. And then plus delta x squared in this quantity, right? Not including that one. In this quantity, I distribute that negative 2 to both, so I get negative 2x minus 2 delta x, and I bring down that plus 1. Here I just distribute the negative to the 3 terms inside that grouping, so I get negative x squared. Negative of a negative 2x is a positive 2x. Negative of a plus 1 is a minus 1. So here I have x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared. I notice that my x squared here cancels with my negative x squared. I notice that my 2x cancels with my positive 2x. I notice that my plus 1 cancels out with my minus 1. So let's rewrite it again with only the terms that remain after my additive cancellations. And I get in the numerator 2x delta x plus delta x squared minus 2 delta x. Notice that each one of the numerators has a term of delta x in it. So I can factor that out, or I can recognize it and just say, hey, I'll cancel this one out with one of these, and one of these, and one of these, leaving only 3 terms in my numerator. Or I can recognize it as saying, hey, I have a factor of delta x in 3 terms. I'll take out that 1 delta x and then cancel it one time there, whichever way that you prefer. This leaves me only with the limit as delta x goes to 0 of 2x minus 2 plus delta x. I can take the limit of the 3 terms separately, right? So I have limit as delta x goes to 0 of 2x, but there's no delta x term here, so it just comes down. The limit as delta x goes to 0 of negative 2, or of minus the limit as delta x goes to 0 of 2, which just becomes 2. And then finally, plus the limit as delta x goes to 0 of delta x. So that's just saying as this goes to 0, so we can just say direct substitution, right? So we're only left with 2x minus 2. And that is the answer for that. I'll clear that out right here. Okay. And that is number 63. And we will continue on with number 67 in the next video.